Did you know that untreated Candida overgrowth can lead to cancer? Yes, that's right. What most people don't know is how dangerous fungal infection can be. Candida can easily change from a single-cell yeast, which is benign, to a multi-cell mold-like fungus, which is pathogenic. If left untreated, the multicellular Candida form will develop hyphal outgrowth and then penetrate locally the mucosal membrane of the intestinal lining. As time goes by, the morphed Candida will be absorbed by your bloodstream and hitch a ride in search of the most hospitable condition for it to spread. The pathogenic form of Candida will then produce a significant number of tiny neurotoxins. And these neurotoxins have also been linked to ailments such as leaky gut syndrome, severe rashes, brain fog, acid reflux, memory loss, joint pain, and yeast in the sinuses and lungs. Moreover, at least 10 other research studies conducted in the U.S. show a causal link between Candida and cancers of the larynx, lung, esophagus, tongue, intestine, pancreas, and lymph system. In his popular book, Cancer is a Fungus, Italian oncologist Dr. Tullio Simoncini also believes categorically that Candida causes fungal infections that lead to cancerous tumors. In fact, he stated that Candida is found in about 97% of cancer cases. Did you know that in a comprehensive study published by Lankenau Hospital Research Institute and the Institute for Cancer Research in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, researchers found fungi present in virtually all cancerous tumors they examined? Hi, I'm Chris, and if you're sick of feeling exhausted and tired due to Candida overgrowth, if you're suffering from either skin disorders, bloating, memory loss, headaches, brain fog, blurry vision, muscle aches, or joint pain, or if you've just had enough of that unexplainable feeling of not being yourself, I've got some good news for you and a more compelling reason why you need to stick with me for the next 3 minutes. Listen, I know Candida infection can be quite painful and frustrating, and it can make you feel completely alone. Trust me, I've been there. But rest assured, you are definitely not alone, and you are not without options. You see, over the past year alone, over 27,000 people have also already successfully used the system I'm about to share with you to heal their fungal overgrowth naturally and regain their lives. And as unbelievable as it may sound now, if you use this method I'm about to reveal, I promise you, as soon as tomorrow morning, you will never suffer from yeast infection symptoms again, even if you've been struggling with your Candida overgrowth for decades. Did you know that Americans spend about $15 billion per year on drugs and treatments to stop yeast infection-related symptoms? If you think about it, there's a strong reason why these medications and OTCs will never bring permanent relief for your Candida infection condition. Pretty much all steroid creams and antibiotic medications lower your immune response and kill the good bacteria, leaving your digestive system a lot more vulnerable to viruses, bacteria, fungi, and cancer. No matter which one of these medications you choose to take, all you get is a little Band-Aid placed over the systemic Candida that infects and poisons your entire body. Surprisingly, the majority of men and women with Candida overgrowth run on a hamster wheel. Trying this and that, hoping to feel better, and not knowing they can heal their Candida infections on their own, simply and quickly. Since 2007, we've been able to help thousands of people suffering from all types of Candida infections at all levels of severity, from vaginal, male, oral, skin, and toenail yeast infections to severe and systemic Candida overgrowth. This year, we're on track to help 40,000 Candida sufferers achieve freedom from the debilitating symptoms of yeast overgrowth. The techniques outlined in the Yeast Infection No More program have already been used by people in over 157 countries to eliminate the need for medications, prescription creams, and over-the-counters. These same yeast infection healing protocols are backed by over 150 scientific studies from some of the world's top scientific journals and proven by renowned doctors and medical researchers from around the globe. Using this 5-step program alone, we were able to help anyone stop any yeast infection symptom in any level of severity, usually within 12 hours, and often almost instantaneously. What's more exciting is that more than 96% of our customers report experiencing a tremendous feeling of rejuvenation. They feel lighter, younger, happier, healthier, and more energetic. Over the past 10 years, I've personally gotten to know and appreciate the creator of Yeast Infection No More. Her name is Linda Allen, And the story of how she accidentally cured her 12-year chronic fungal overgrowth is fascinating and heartbreaking. And in this short presentation, Linda will teach you about this simple and incredibly effective way of healing your Candida overgrowth permanently, the holistic way. Just imagine waking up tomorrow morning and never experiencing any symptoms of Candida infection again. Imagine never having another rash, oral infection, skin allergy, vaginal or male yeast infection, muscle or joint pain, blurry vision, brain fog, digestive issues, fatigue, or migraines. Imagine feeling healthy, younger, and flowing with pure, vibrant energy. Well, now, if you simply watch this presentation until the end and do exactly what it says, I personally promise that 28 days from now, you will feel like an entirely new person. So without further ado, here is Linda.
Hello, I'm Linda, and I have an unusual Candida yeast infection story to share with you today. It's about how I completely got rid of my severe yeast infection and how I finally regained my health after 12 years of suffering. How did I do it? Well, a lot of what really worked for me is stuff you probably won't read about in conventional medicine books or health magazines, and I bet it will work for you too. I'm going to tell you my story because it's probably very similar to yours. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a gal. Anyone who struggles with yeast infection will relate to this story. And if you watch this entire video, which will not be online for long, I will do more than just tell you a story. I will give you the solution I discovered and use to this very day. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get rid of your existing Candida infection symptoms in 12 hours and how to eliminate the root cause of your yeast infection in the next 30 days so that you can gain complete and permanent freedom from Candida yeast infection and its related symptoms for good. I have never given away this much information before in a free video that you can watch all in one sitting, so I hope you won't miss this opportunity to gain critical knowledge that will empower your health for decades to come. There are 3 easy principles you must understand in order to get rid of your yeast infection for good. The 3 critical principles you must know are: 1. What Candida yeast infection really is and why you have it. 2. What doesn't work and what makes your yeast infection worse. 3. The only proven way to get rid of Candida yeast infection forever. So what can you expect if you embrace these 3 easy principles? Well, you can permanently cure your yeast infection within 30 to 60 days, stop vaginal, male, and oral yeast infections within 12 hours, eliminate fatigue, muscle aches, and mood swings completely, end digestive disorders and allergies, reverse skin-related yeast infections, stop the rashes, burning, itching, and discomfort, save thousands of dollars on drugs and doctor visits, regain your energy and vitality, and dramatically improve your quality of life. So let me reiterate. If you watch this video from start to finish and follow what I teach you, you will undoubtedly see and feel your yeast infection fade away. Don't worry, this is not another sales page for yeast infection medication, another topical antifungal cream or lotion, another crazy anti-Candida diet protocol, another weird vitamin therapy, or another herbal or Chinese yeast infection remedy. This is real information that you can use right now. You might be wondering who I am and why I am sharing this critical material with you. My name is Linda Allen, and I am a certified nutrition specialist, health consultant, medical researcher, speaker, and author. I am also a former yeast infection sufferer. Over the past 14 years, I've helped men and women in 157 countries to permanently get rid of their Candida yeast infections and dramatically improve the quality of their lives. And today, I would like to help you. Chances are I know exactly how you feel right now because I've been there myself and seen it with thousands of my clients. Maybe you're extremely confused about yeast infection. You've heard crazy things like, it doesn't exist, or you can't completely get rid of it. You're deeply frustrated because everything you've tried has not worked. You're fed up with all the empty promises, quick fix scams, and sleazy treatment ripoffs. You want something that works, and works quickly, to get rid of your Candida infection and keep it away forever. Are you suffering from any of the following symptoms? Itching or burning sensation in your intimate parts? Depression or mood swings? Vaginal odor or vaginal discharge? Chronic rashes? Constant tiredness or fatigue? Irritability? Headaches or frequent migraines? Food allergies? Increased craving for simple carbohydrates? Yeast infections in your toenails or fingernails? Unexplainable feeling of not being yourself? Are you just downright frustrated because you know there must be an answer to your problem, but you just haven't been able to find it? Well, you just found it. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and imagine this. You wake up in the morning about 4 to 6 weeks from now, step out of bed, and as you wash your face and look in the mirror, it hits you. Your Candida yeast infection is gone, as in wiped out completely. Suddenly, there is no itching, rash, or redness down there, and no thrush, athlete's foot, or any other type of skin yeast infection you may have had. Your skin is smooth, your hair is thicker, and your eyes are brighter. Your fatigue and all of the digestive disorders you suffered from have disappeared, and you feel mentally clearer, lighter, happier, healthier, and more energetic than you have in ages. And it's all because you finally figured out the answer you've been searching for. If you're anything like me, you've probably been beating your head against the wall for years, or maybe even decades, because you simply could not find a real solution for your yeast overgrowth, a solution that could get you lasting freedom from Candida infections. My story began in my late teens. When most of my peers were experiencing optimal health, I began a downward spiral that would last for more than a decade. It all began innocently enough one winter, with a sinus infection that I couldn't shake off, followed by a vaginal yeast infection. Then, infections continued to return. My doctor began treating me with rounds of antibiotics, each set stronger than the last. They would work only for a few weeks, though, and then I'd be back to square one. This went on for months without my doctor showing much concern. "You're just more susceptible to colds and viruses than most people," he'd say, giving me yet another prescription. "No need to worry." With spring knocking at the door, my doctor switched gears, prescribing allergy medication to help clear my head and nasal passageways. My initial symptoms were slowly improving, but I still wasn't feeling like, well, me. To be honest, it was hard to pinpoint exactly what was wrong. I wasn't really sick, but I wasn't really well either. I had listlessness, fatigue, brain fog, stomach ailments, unexplained rashes, skin infections, and so on. It seemed like every day brought a new challenge. My energy was sapped, and I felt exhausted, which affected my grades and put a big dent in my social life. The summer months brought a bit of a reprieve, but that was short-lived. By Christmas, I was again experiencing a repeat of the previous winter, only now I had a gruesome new symptom to add to my litany of complaints: chronic and, yes, flaming yeast infections. If you've ever had a severe yeast infection, you know just how awful they can be. First, the symptoms include unending itching and burning, followed by an embarrassing and sometimes odor-filled discharge. Not a pleasant experience for a young woman, to be sure, but when infections seem to crop up almost as regularly as your menstrual period, it can become downright torturous. On top of these were repeated infections of other types. I always seemed to have a cold, a headache, bronchitis, or some other physical ailment. The people around me began to wonder if I was either a hypochondriac or sicker than I was letting on. I was beginning to wonder the same. I knew that I wasn't making up symptoms, so I began to fear that I had some horrible disease causing all of my problems. I began visiting every type of doctor I could get an appointment with. I started with a general practitioner and then moved on to a gynecologist, an ear, nose, and throat specialist, an endocrinologist, and so on. Still, no one could find an answer. Each new doctor would take some tests, prescribe a treatment, and say that it would fix everything. Sometimes it did seem to work for a while, but eventually my symptoms would return, oftentimes worse than before. I spent thousands of dollars on antibiotics to treat ongoing infections over the years. only to be faced with all sorts of side effects and depleted savings. Since my family helped to pay for my endless tests and medical appointments, their bank accounts were drained as well. Fed up with traditional methods, I then tried a whole new tactic. I changed my diet and began ingesting vitamin supplements like candy. If I read somewhere that it might fix one of my many medical complaints, I'd add it to my repertoire. I even tried massage, acupuncture, and chiropractics, hoping that something would ease my suffering. By the time I added up all of the expenses, I had spent enough to have purchased my first home. Yet I remained cooped up in a small apartment because I couldn't afford anything better. Worse still, I was still sick and getting sicker. I tried everything. As my 30th birthday drew near, I knew that I had to take some real action. It was time to get serious and find some answers. That's when I became a real nut about holistic medicine. I made an appointment to see a naturopath, and while he didn't solve my problem, he steered me in a new direction toward a healthier life. It was only while I was seeing the naturopath that I learned that I was suffering from a Candida albicans infection, a systemic yeast infection. There was yeast overload throughout my entire body, and that's why my symptoms were so varied and getting worse. The yeast had started as typical vaginal and sinus infections, which is very common, and then spread throughout my internal system, attacking virtually every organ and tissue it came in contact with. No wonder I felt so sick all of the time. Once I knew what I was up against, I had a new struggle to face, ridding my body of the yeast. My naturopath tried every treatment that he knew of, but while I showed some improvement, I was still suffering. I was not prepared to give up, however, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. In my desperate search for a cure, I wanted to know everything there was to know about Candida infection, how it worked, how it could affect the body's organs, and how to get rid of it. So I started studying hard. I bought every book on dermatology, yeast overgrowth, hormonal production, detoxing, dieting, and nutrition that I could get my hands on. I spent hours at the library, swallowing stacks of books, journals, and magazines, and reading every word. I read dozens of medicine books from cover to cover, literally. But I didn't just read. I interviewed countless other yeast infection sufferers and endlessly picked the brains of every doctor, herbalist, homeopath, and naturopath kind enough to lend their time. Over the years, I spent a small fortune trying every type of product and treatment method you could possibly think of. Herbal remedies, prescription drugs, 3-lac, tinctures, cell food oxygen, tonics, detox diets, vitamin therapy, antibiotics, hydrotherapy, aromatherapy, macrobiotics, reflexology, Chinese medicine, vegetarianism, the YE diet, magnetic therapy, the mucus-less diet, the blood-type diet, over-the-counter treatments, and so on. And yet, despite all of this, I still suffered from severe yeast infection. So I stopped applying these so-called anti-yeast treatments completely. What was the point? At best, these treatments worked short-term, caused a myriad of side effects, and cost a small fortune. Many times, I honestly felt that I would never get rid of it. I truly felt like a prisoner in my own body. I remember telling myself, give up, let it go. Everyone has a cross to bear, and yours is yeast infection. Stop fighting and accept it. Maybe this sounds just like you. Well, today, I am a different person. It took several more years of research, but I began to see some connections. Once I understood that a real cure could only be achieved if the underlying root cause and the circumstances that promote Candida growth in the body were dealt with, I began to realize the importance of treating the entire body from the inside out. I began to gather information about every yeast therapy I could find. It didn't matter if one person or 100,000 people said it worked for them. I documented it and gave it a try. For each new remedy, I wrote down how it worked, its side effects, and other important information. Hundreds of therapies later, I began to look for a pattern, exploring if some treatments could be combined for maximum effect. What I discovered was amazing. It was only after 12 painful years when I accidentally stumbled upon this missing piece to the Candida yeast infection puzzle that my yeast infection completely disappeared. My chronic yeast infection cleared up, my sinus problems went away, my stomach ailments disappeared, and my energy returned. Still, not completely sure that I had indeed found a cure, I returned to several doctors and asked them to run some tests. Amazingly, the tests showed that all signs of infection were gone. I was finally healthy again. My general practitioner wanted to know how I had done it. She was utterly amazed when I outlined my program. "I think you may have something here," she said. "I'd ask a few other chronic Candida sufferers to try it too." I followed her advice. Since I had been on multiple blogs and Candida forums for years, it wasn't difficult to find people willing to give my remedy a try. What I was offering was a completely safe alternative to all of the dangerous treatments offered by the medical community. I sent off my protocol to several dozen Candida infection sufferers and waited for their feedback. It didn't take long before I began receiving emails, text messages, and phone calls from people all over the world telling me how their symptoms were literally disappearing. My program was working. More and more people were asking me for help. My doctor was right. I was onto something and needed to share my discovery with the world. That was years ago, and today I'm still Candida infection-free. I can honestly say that I've never felt so good. All of my symptoms are gone, and you know what? My health is now better than it had been even before the yeast infection. When I finally found the missing piece to the Candida yeast infection puzzle, I was absolutely amazed. How did I do it? I embraced the one truth that hardly anyone knows or will tell you about. It's going to blow your mind. Ready? The best yeast infection treatment in the world is no yeast infection treatment. Now, that may come as a shock to you, but here's why this is the absolute truth. If you treat your yeast infection by focusing only on external symptoms, using anti-inflammatory or antibiotic drugs, lotions, or creams, you will temporarily decrease the inflammation, swelling, and redness of your local infection. That's okay if you want life dependency on expensive drugs and chemicals, but that's not what most of us want. The first thing I discovered in my 12 years of research was that almost everyone is getting ripped off by the drug and pharmaceutical companies. The pharmaceutical and drug industries are loaded with snake oil marketers who are getting rich by preying on your desperation. You need to realize this. Conventional yeast infection product and treatment providers are your enemies. They don't want you to get rid of your yeast infection because when you do, they'll lose a customer. And with every customer they lose, they also lose a lot of money. The second thing I discovered is that almost everyone is dead wrong in the way they treat their yeast infection. It's a fact. The methods you're using to treat your infection right now might be severely damaging your internal health. There's a better way to get the job done, and it's amazingly fast. I'm going to share with you 5 powerful keys to become free of Candida infection for good. Key number 1. Antifungal drugs will make your yeast infection worse. We are surrounded by medical products that claim to be yeast infection cures. In reality, however, these expensive drugs only focus on treating symptoms. No matter what your doctor tells you, taking antifungal medications, antibiotics, and steroids of any kind to treat your yeast infection will significantly damage your internal system, destroy your natural internal balance, make your infection and your health worse in the long run. These drugs will not fix the underlying environment or the root cause of your yeast infection. Key number 2. Antifungal creams, probiotics, and natural antifungals will not cure your yeast infection. Please do not fall for any antifungal creams or anti-Candida probiotics that you see on infomercials, no matter how sophisticated or enticing they may appear. I've tried most of these, and they are worthless. They do not cure Candida yeast infection at all. Lotions, creams, and other topical treatments are designed to tackle the symptoms of your infection, not the real cause. After more than 12 years of research, and after experimenting with every known topical antifungal treatment available on the market, I can honestly and confidently say that there is no topical anti-yeast treatment that can cure your infection. While there are several topical treatments that may significantly alleviate the symptoms of your yeast infection, they only serve as Band-Aids by masking the symptoms of Candida yeast overgrowth. Probiotic therapy, which reestablishes the balance between good and bad bacteria in your digestive tract, is also useless, as it completely ignores the root cause of Candida infection. The same goes for many of the natural anti-Candida products that you see in health food stores. Killing the Candida microorganism alone is definitely not enough to achieve lasting freedom from yeast infection. You must also change your internal environment so that infections never recur. To achieve this, you need to know how to use these products effectively, when to use them, in what order, and how to combine them with other crucial protocols. Key number 3. Despite what some doctors and conventional health advocates may say, there is a strong link between diet and yeast infection. However, diet alone cannot cure Candida yeast overgrowth. Why do doctors so stubbornly insist that there is no connection between diet and yeast infection? The answer? You can't make a profit promoting a healthy diet, or at least not as much as you could by selling drugs. The truth is, the right diet, while not a solution by itself, can in many cases dramatically reduce yeast infection symptoms and help remove a significant part of your infection. Recent studies have found a strong connection between diet and yeast infection. The wrong diet is now thought to be one of the leading factors contributing to Candida yeast overgrowth. It can negatively affect the intestinal bacterial balance and the natural process of toxin elimination, thereby seriously aggravating your existing yeast infection. Nevertheless, Candida yeast infection is a complex condition that is triggered by multiple underlying factors. Therefore, the only way to neutralize your yeast infection is to tackle all of these contributing factors holistically. Since the wrong diet is only one of these infection-triggering factors, in most cases, no special diet will cure your Candida yeast infection. Key number 4. This is a very important fact that you absolutely must understand if you want to save hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Yeast infection is not just a localized surface problem, but a warning signal of a serious inner imbalance. Let's make this clear. Yeast infection is not a localized problem with your genitals, mouth, head, muscles, etc. And that is why killing the local fungus, fighting the rash, or reducing the redness will never work to completely cure your Candida yeast overgrowth. Yeast infection is a systemic problem. It's a symptom of an internal disorder that affects your whole body and manifests as skin disorders, digestive problems, migraines, etc. Yeast overgrowth is simply a big warning sign that something inside your body is wrong and needs to be corrected. Failing to diagnose and fix this problem in a timely manner can result in far more severe and chronic disorders, which can seriously endanger your health. By using drugs and creams to shut down your body's alarm system, you are practically ignoring your body's messages and neglecting the root cause of your infection, thus making your condition worse in the long run. The only way you can completely cure your yeast infection is from within, by listening to what your body is trying to tell you and working with it to eliminate the root cause of your Candida infection. Key number 5. The true cause of yeast infection and the only way to cure it permanently. No matter what anyone tells you, yeast infection is definitely not a figment of your imagination. After 12 years of research, here's what I have found to be the root cause of yeast infection, or to be more specific, the main factors responsible for yeast overgrowth. Yeast infection is a condition in which the balance of your internal environment is disrupted. There are factors and cofactors that contribute to Candida overgrowth, and there are also causative agents that aggravate an already compromised yeast infection condition. In addition to internal factors, daily life situations, external factors, and psychological, mental, or emotional factors can also directly or indirectly contribute to the environment in which Candida is able to grow and spread. The only way to stop yeast overgrowth permanently is to prevent this condition from recurring. This cannot be achieved by tackling the symptoms of Candida yeast infection alone. Only by following a comprehensive, multidimensional, holistic program to tackle the underlying cause and the circumstances promoting Candida growth in your body can you regain your health and become yeast infection-free for good. Let's use a metaphor to demonstrate this further. If you manage to kill all mosquitoes around a stale pond using chemicals, then for a little while there will be no mosquitoes. But since the source of the problem is still there, the stale pond where mosquitoes can feed and breed, they will always come back. The same thing applies to your yeast infection. Without fixing the internal problem and eliminating the source, the root cause, of your Candida overgrowth, you will never permanently get rid of yeast infections. Your Candida yeast infections will always come back until you do something fundamental to make your body a place where Candida overgrowth cannot exist. Okay, now that we've covered 5 key things you need to know to get rid of your yeast infection, let me introduce you to my best-selling program, Yeast Infection No More, the only holistic Candida yeast infection system in existence that will teach you how to permanently cure your yeast overgrowth, rebalance your body, and regain your vitality. Yeast Infection No More is a surefire, 100% guaranteed system that is backed by over 35,000 hours of research. This highly unique and powerful Candida overgrowth healing system has helped thousands of people worldwide. In fact, over 143,000 people in 157 countries have used this program already to get rid of their yeast infections for good. It is literally the only program you will ever need to eliminate all aspects of yeast infection and feel better than you felt in your entire life. This system has been optimized over 12 years of research, and its powerful protocols, set in unique and precise order, are specifically designed to eradicate all types of yeast infections of all levels of severity. The Yeast Infection No More program will enable you to gain complete freedom from vaginal, male, oral, and skin yeast infections, eradicate excessive Candida yeast overgrowth in the digestive tract, enhance digestive and intestinal health, eliminate food allergies, fight depression, mood swings, and anxiety related to yeast overgrowth, feel lighter, healthier, and more energetic. Yeast Infection No More is completely different from any other information source or Candida overgrowth solution because it is customizable for your unique condition. It is a lifetime solution to achieve permanent freedom from yeast infections. It was developed by a real yeast infection sufferer. It is an interactive program that shows you exactly how to overcome Candida yeast overgrowth. Yeast Infection No More works for all types of Candida infections, including mild and systemic yeast infections, vaginal yeast infection in the penis area, yeast infection on the skin surface, yeast infection in the mouth and throat, yeast infection in the bladder and kidneys, yeast infection in the urethra, yeast infection in deep organ tissues, yeast infection in the bones, joints, and muscles. I'll take you inside my program in just a minute, but first let me share some feedback from people who have tried this system. Dear Linda, about 2 years ago, I developed a severe case of vaginal yeast infection that would not let up. The itching, burning, and swelling of my labia were simply unbearable. I purchased several over-the-counter treatments, including Monistat cream, to subside the symptoms. While they worked initially, eventually things wore off and left me with an even worse infection than before. The same goes for the antibiotics that I took, per the advice of my doctor. I felt horrible. After doing some research online, I guessed that I had a yeast infection and purchased your program. The results were almost instantaneous. In less than 7 hours, I felt a tremendous relief. 2 weeks later, I became completely free from the unbearable vaginal itching, burning, swelling, and discharge. Using your methods, I have kept my chronic yeast infection at bay ever since. No more drugs or OTC treatments for me. Thank you so much, Linda. Christy Halverson, age 19, Florida, USA. Hi, Linda. I'm 34 and had most of the symptoms you list that are the manifestation of Candida yeast infection. Besides the constant redness, swelling, and itching in my intimate parts, I used to be slightly overweight and suffered from digestive problems, including leaky gut syndrome, blurred vision, and fatigue. I also had constant cravings for sugary foods. I used to feel guilty and weak all the time. Who would have believed that all those horrible symptoms were linked to Candida yeast infection? I have been on your system for 4 weeks, and not only did the itching and redness completely vanish, But I also became regular, lost some decent pounds, and lost my cravings for sugar. The blurred vision and the inability to focus are gone. I feel so alive and in control for the first time in my life. I cannot say thank you enough. Why don't more doctors know about this method? I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart, and you can use this testimonial on your site if you like. Dave Rasmussen, age 34, Melbourne, Australia. Dear Linda, as I was searching for a way to explain my recently frequent yeast infections and other related conditions, I stumbled upon your program on the internet. I suffered from chronic mouth thrush, with creamy white lesions on my tongue and inner cheeks. My baby daughter had the same problem in her mouth, and your program was the only thing that helped us. I highly recommend your book to anyone who is perceptive about their health, and for those who are tired of being told that it's all in their heads. I feel so rejuvenated and lucky to have found your system. God bless you. Tiona Lacastra, age 29, Texas, USA. I have suffered from a widening array of allergies and constant cravings for sugar and bread. I was miserable most of the time while taking allergy medication. After following your step-by-step directions for 6 weeks, I am recovering. I am now, as I write these lines, almost symptom-free. I recommend to anyone who is affected by allergy caused directly or indirectly by Candida yeast infection to read your book. It is so easy to read, even for me. English is not my native language. And to apply. I cannot thank you enough for your counseling service and for the knowledge and health you have brought into my life. Thank you so much. Madi Banjawan, age 27, Bangkok, Thailand. Linda, I just want to show my appreciation for your wonderful support and for this great system. I also want to personally thank you for being so helpful, kind, and supportive. The world could use more honest people like you. For the past 3 months, I have been strictly following your 5-step holistic system, including the dietary and stress reduction methods. After about 3 weeks, I started to witness dramatic results. The rashes and muscle aches reduced to a fraction of what they once had been. Now, all these symptoms are history. I am feeling so much better and so proud that I have cured my Candida condition from the inside, rather than by using the instant temporary relief approach. I recommend that everyone reads every single word of this book, regardless of his or her current yeast infection condition. This information should be taken very seriously. Taking control of your body and your own health is a must if you really care about your future health and your quality of life. Thank you. Joshua Elmers, age 62, Ohio, USA. Here are just a few of the unique things you will find inside the Yeast Infection No More program. On page 82, you'll find the heart of the clinically proven 5-step Yeast Infection No More anti-Candida infection system. Simply follow the steps in the order they appear, and you are guaranteed to eliminate your yeast overgrowth from the inside out, get rid of all yeast infection symptoms, and dramatically improve your quality of life. On page 119, you'll discover the secret 100% natural supplement that you should take on a daily basis. This supplement alone is guaranteed to dramatically reduce your yeast infection symptoms, often in a matter of days. On page 39, I will reveal the cardinal sin of yeast infection treatment almost everyone is guilty of. This sinful act weakens your body's natural ability to defend itself, thus putting your health at serious risk and making your Candida infection worse in the long run. On page 158, you'll find a super easy method to cleanse heavy metals from your body. This process is crucial to your success. On page 167, I'll reveal what brands of antifungals you should take, including the exact timing, dose, combination, and order of intake of antifungal supplements. This is a very crucial step in your Candida infection treatment. Yet many nutritionists and naturopaths fail to address this important issue. On page 127, I'll introduce you to the most potent method of strengthening your organs of elimination. This important step alone has done wonders for thousands of Candida overgrowth sufferers faster than they ever thought possible. On page 56, you'll discover how Candida infection can be diagnosed using CDSA. Live cell microscopy antigen levels, immune assays, and the symptom score questionnaire. You'll also learn about a simple test that you can do at home to know the exact severity of your Candida infection. You'll know the answer in less than 15 minutes. On page 76, you'll find the Yeast Infection No More Quick Results mini-program. If you are busy and cannot follow all of the protocols mentioned in the full program, then this step-by-step mini-program is for you. It is relatively short, extremely practical, and if followed correctly, can yield significant results in days. On page 58, I'll introduce you to a simple and shockingly easy 12-hour treatment to eliminate every surface symptom of a yeast infection. All you have to do is follow the simple steps in this amazing protocol, and you'll be free of annoying and debilitating Candida infection symptoms in a matter of hours. On page 70, I'll show you unique and powerful protocols to eliminate all types of mouth and nail yeast infections. You will see results in as little as 2 days. On page 163, you'll find the shocking truth about parasites, their connection to yeast infections, and how you can eliminate these harmful creatures using a simple, proven 7-day routine. On page 178, I will reveal the amazing connection between physical activity and yeast infection, and how you can start exercising your way to a yeast infection-free life today. On page 101, you will discover the importance of the alkaline/acid balance in the battle against yeast infections, and how to optimize your delicate internal pH, feel much healthier, and ward off Candida yeast infection forever. Throughout the book, you'll find step-by-step instructional diagrams and illustrations that will guide you to permanently get rid of your yeast infection faster than you ever thought possible. Now, here's what's really great. You don't have to wait more than a minute to get my revolutionary yeast infection cure system today. In fact, you will have instant access to the entire Yeast Infection No More system in about 30 seconds. And there is more. For a limited time, I'm also giving away some incredible free bonuses. Check this out. Bonus number 1, the Complete Handbook of Nature's Cures. The Complete Handbook of Nature's Cures contains 265 pages full of valuable information on how to cure common ailments and diseases naturally. The book offers invaluable insight into hundreds of different diseases and shows you how to treat them in the comfort of your own home. $39.95 value, yours free. Bonus number 2, How and When to Be Your Own Doctor. Be Your Own Doctor, written by a professional hygienist, explores the differences between naturopathic approaches and traditional medicine. The book is loaded with true-life examples, personal experiences, and valuable ideas of how to implement a hygienic diet and lead a happier and healthier life. $29.95 value, yours free. Bonus number 3, The Healing Power of Water. This exclusive interview with Dr. Batman Galich reveals how he discovered the healing ability of water and pioneered the emerging field of hydrohealth. If you're new to the idea of healing with water, this is a must-read report that will forever change the way you think about H2O. $29.95 value, yours free. Bonus number 4, free lifetime updates. In the near future, I plan to offer this program, including several exclusive bonus reports and special updates, only as part of a membership package at a substantially higher price. But order now, and you are guaranteed to get all future bonus reports for free for life. When a new updated edition of Yeast Infection No More is released, you'll get it for free. It's easy. I will simply contact you through my client email list and send you instant download instructions so you can stay totally up to date on the latest yeast infection breakthroughs. $27 value, yours free. Super bonus. Free one-on-one counseling with me for 3 months. Yes, for a limited time only. Free private counseling, advice, and guidance from a certified nutritionist and a lifelong medical researcher are just an email away. If at any time you feel confused, you can have your questions answered privately by me. I'd love to hear from you. Just email me and I promise you'll get an answer in 24 hours. Mind you that because of the exclusive nature of the support I provide to my customers, and because I am a woman who stands by her words, there is obviously a limit to the number of emails I can answer a day. I already answer more than 100 daily. So no matter how committed I feel to help other yeast infection sufferers, this invaluable personal guidance will not be offered forever. This private counseling is valued at $197, but you get it for free in the Yeast Infection No More package today. Now, the entire Yeast Infection No More package has a retail price tag of $323.85. But hold on. You're not going to pay $300. You're not even going to pay half of that. In fact, you're not even going to pay $49. For a limited time only, and only through my special link here, you get it all. The entire Yeast Infection No More system, plus all 5 of those killer bonuses, and a 2-month money-back, no questions and no hassles guarantee for only $39.97. Can you believe it? You get it all for only $39.97. If you think about it in terms of getting completely rid of yeast infection in 8 weeks, this comes out to only 67 cents per day. Now, I have a small tip for you. When you get your copy of Yeast Infection No More today, dive into my Yeast Infection No More Quick Results mini program on page 76. You will feel your yeast infection literally melting away while your health and vigor quickly improve. Imagine yourself in 4 to 6 weeks from now. Are you still suffering from chronic yeast infections? Are your genitals and other parts of your body still irritating, red, and painful? Are you still suffering from thrush, irritability, headaches, or food allergies? Still suffering from blurred vision, muscle aches, digestive problems, or chronic fatigue? Still experiencing that unexplainable feeling of not being yourself? Or are you living a full, active, yeast infection-free life with more energy, better health, and absolutely no allergies, digestive problems, skin infections, or headaches? The choice is yours. If you're even remotely interested in learning the truth about obtaining permanent freedom from yeast infections, then you owe it to yourself to at least try the Yeast Infection No More system. If you are ready to do what it takes to finally be Candida infection-free, then join thousands of people around the world and order this program today. Right now is your chance to start the path to Candida infection-free life. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. Isn't it time you tried something that actually works? All you have to do to get started right now is to take me up on my zero-risk offer. Just click the button below this video, and it's all yours. Every bonus, every trick, and every secret to eliminating your yeast infection and restoring your health. And it's only $39.97 without any risk. Click the button now, and let's get started.